There's a horrifying analog horror made by the channel XP called Dexter El Perro, or in English, Dexter the Dog, which is about a humanoid dog being the product of an extra dimension, which is through an experiment going terribly wrong, leading to it massacre and consume humans. I already covered another fantastic analog horror by this channel called Alice in Dreams, which is more of a tragic interpretation of Alice in Wonderland, where the protagonist is a girl called Alice who dives deep into a rabbit hole of her consciousness after dissociating from reality following a lobotomy operation. You can check out the video by clicking on the link in the description or comments. The story of Dexter the Dog starts by an educational video produced by Research Center of Alternative Science. The following text expands on a current research that they had been conducting, being more of an alternative science, exploring the supernatural. It reads as follows. Portals between mirrors. This project aims to travel between alternate realities and even be able to travel to the past and the future. This will bring great advances for science. The text moves on to talk about the current study subject, Subject 0002, which happens to be Dexter, a pale white, tall and thin humanoid with dog-like characteristics, seemingly being a dog-human hybrid. The goal for the topic is to study its behaviors, especially as it seems to not allow anyone pass through the mirror portal, the main experiment and research that the CISA organization is conducting, the Organization for Research in Alternative Science. When the mirror portals are activated, this entity appears on the other side, stopping anyone from going through. Not much is known about this entity, and it seems to hinder the study and progress of utilizing this new groundbreaking discovery. The mirror portal opens pathways to alternate realities, hence why there is Dexter, the dog humanoid, being a product of the alternate universe. The CISA organization intends to study this creature and learn more about it, seeing if they can open the pathway. The Spanish-speaking scientist logging in his studies so far explains how they have named this entity Dexter, who despite looking terrifying, is an entity that they need to get used to talking to and communicate with in order for it to open the path.
Experimento 0002. Portales entre espejos.
The first communication with Dexter is recorded. Managing to establish communication, Dexter responds that he is feeling shocked and stunned, but not explaining why. He continues that he feels hungry right now and wants to eat. The scientist trying to understand Dexter better, asking if he has other feelings. Dexter seems to struggle understanding what they mean by emotions and feelings, saying that they feel pain and that it is good. That's when the connection gets disrupted, with Dexter breaking out of the mirror. This causes an emergency lockdown as Dexter is deemed to be dangerous and an unknown threat, which doesn't seem to be wanting to make any friends, but rather eat and consume flesh. This organization unknowingly opened a portal to a hostile world, allowing in an aggressive, powerful being which sees Earth as an open buffet, with so many options to feast on. After this unforeseeable incident, which is a complete mess-up by the organization, they try to do a poor damage control by denying everything and restricting those involved in the experiment to speak about it. They cancel the project effective immediately with no proper explanation. The organization wants complete discretion, as any leaks would lead to immediate termination of the employees. The following found footage type of tape reveal why the organization was so adamant to prevent any information leaking and fearing their termination and persecution, as the entity labeled as Dexter, escaping its realm into our realm, wreaks havoc and butchers anyone that it comes across to, painting the walls and floors of the facility of the organization in blood.
Estaba aquí como 2 horas mirando esta pared. Ya, ¿en qué me metí? Creo que lo mejor será moverme y encontrar un lugar seguro. No sé si esa cosa puede olerme desde la distancia. Espero no encontrármelo.
The remaining survivor tries his best to hide, with him hiding in a corner, unsure to how overcome this alternate dimension being, whether he can smell him or not, while hearing the quiet yet terrifying footsteps of Dexter. Dexter is seen lurking in the shadows, hunting for the survivor. By the looks of it, causing a massacre, eating so many people, Dexter seems to have a large appetite, still wanting to consume the last surviving staff member. Dexter finally manages to spot the last scientist, who runs towards the exit in a panic, just to discover it's a mind-boggling illusion by the mirror, finding himself in a dead end in front of the mirror, with Dexter pouncing at him and eating him. The following text reveals that the project was a success and that the project is in fact still being studied, yet being a private matter now, being conducted discreetly. They deny that Dexter is hostile, explaining that he has been contained and that they have successfully explored parts of the other dimension through the mirror, which might be a mirror replica of our own dimension. So it's clear CISA is trying to cover up the massacre that took place in the research facilities, publicly shutting down the Project Mirror portal, yet in secrecy still running the project. Despite the many casualties and the absolute chaos ensued, and the horrifying unknown threats and dangers in the other dimension, the organization sees this discovery as a success and wants to continue. Through the description of the video, we learn the name of the last surviving scientist was Valentin Gonzalez, who was sent to observe the experiment under some sort of deception. It was never meant for the scientist, including Gonzalez, to survive, with the organization being fully aware of what might happen. This incident took place in 1982, with the project being shut down due to the government putting an end to funding them. That explains why they conduct it in secrecy, as many questions would be raised to how and why they are still continuing without any funding. Doing it in secrecy would allow them to break any rules or laws, approaching their goal quicker. The next video follows with a text urging the readers to keep utmost discretion and that the following information is only intended for these select few people. It is mentioned that Dexter was never caught and that they continued with the project. The following image shows the explored territories of the other dimension, finding a new stranger type of creature labeled as Bun 32A, which looks like a ghostly demonic colossal being towering over 7 meters. This other dimension seems to be heavily inspired by the back rooms, as we see the liminal space offices and corridors. The footage then focuses back on Dexter, showing a different perspective on how the first contact went. Through Dexter's perspective, he is stunned to see a human on the other side of the mirror, acting as a window portal to the other dimension. The text suggests that Dexter's prey tried to run, but that his jaw was faster, referring to how Valentin tried to escape, but Dexter was faster and killed him through biting him alive. It seems as if Dexter can sniff wounded prey, which means it could potentially smell fresh blood, or that he can sense fear and follow the source, which is a terrifying concept of an extra-dimensional entity to be capable of. The tragic and cruel truth is unveiled that Dexter is being studied and the scientists were the collateral and bait to understand the creature better. They were the necessary sacrificial lamb, so they understand what Dexter wants, how it hurts and kills, and what it does. It seems Dexter is a horrifying predator, very good at sniffing out the prey and tracing them, knowing precisely where to cut the prey as well, which in this case was humans. They dismiss all the death and suffering as a necessity for science. The following journal, written in 1982 by what seems to be a scientist involved with the secret project, reflects on how Valentin didn't deserve this, despite what the senior Dozna says, which is all in the name of science. The scientist was a friend to Valentin, who doesn't really know what happened to Valentine, except being told and believing that Valentine was sent through the portal, and not that he was savagely butchered by this outer-dimensional entity. So it seems as if Valentine was actually the only one in the lab that day when Dexter broke out, with him being the only bait. The blood seen all over the lab might have been from Dexter injuring Valentine and then chasing after him, smelling his blood. So it is clear by now how they used Valentine to lure Dexter out of its dimension so that they can study it and go through the portal which it was blocking. It seems as if he acted as a soldier, blocking anyone going through the portal. The following confidential announcement reads on how the investigation of this other dimension has intrigued another organization by the name of SEA, which have collaborated with CISA. SEA is a security organization specializing in anomalies and supernatural, operating in the United Mexican States. These organizations consider if life inside this dimension is possible for humans, and they plan to enter it. That's when they receive a Morse code coming from inside this dimension, allowing them to prepare the right equipment to enter the portal. The Morse code reads that the subject encountered was very fast in this dimension, who had no face. It seems the subject had its face bitten off by Dexter. This might be Valentine, who could have been mutilated and taken to the dimension to be finished off, to be devoured by Dexter or something else. Apart from Dexter, who is known as Subject 0002, the team of SEA finds another subject that they label as Bun 32A, a ghostly tall figure seen in the beginning. They explain how it is a massive scientific discovery and that they have managed to capture this entity and incapacitate it, who they try to communicate with. As they are interrogating Bun 32A, the alarm starts sounding, with Dexter coming through the mirror portal, making every single staff member panic. This of course indicates that the person who was ripped apart inside this dimension was not devoured by Dexter, but instead Bun 32A, evident from its mouth, still stained with fresh blood. Dexter was not captured and he was lost, who was still hiding and lurking in the shadows of the lab, who comes back into its own dimension where it would pounce at the SEA staff and possibly butcher them. And that is it for the last video of Dexter the dog currently, with more possibly being in the making. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host Star, thanks for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Have a fantastic day.